Hi, it's the M.L.M for the Soul Channel, and I do have a new topic for today. Before I begin, I just would like to say, may the words and expressions of my mouth and the thoughts and meditations of my heart find favor and acceptance before you, Hashem. And some people I thank who've inspired me. I hope they can inspire you as well, and I will have links below this video to their sites. They are Rabbi Shalom Arush, Rabbi Lazer Brody, Rabbi Yosef Mizrahi, Rabbi Eli Mansour, Rabbi Lon Anava, Rabbi Yuval Ovadia, Rav Daniel Asore, Nisan Baruch Black, David Sachs, Rabbi Michael Skobach, Jews for Judaism, Rabbi David Asher, and Rabbi Ron Uvain, as well. If you've never checked out this channel before, I will have a link right below this video to my first video, which explains what M.L.M for the soul means, what it stands for, and what I'm doing. So today's topic is taken from an email that I get weekly from Rabbi Eli Mansour on the parasha. And again, this is not the current parasha, but still applicable. And I call this a Tzadik lives by faith. A Tzadik lives by faith. And so this is taken about the parasha Vayakhel Pekudei. So the Torah in the beginning of Parashat Pekudei presents an accounting of the precious metals that Bnei Yisrael donated for the Mishkan, which included silver, which was provided through the Machatzit HaShekel, which is the obligatory half-shekel tax. The tax was collected each year and used for the purchase of the public sacrifices. But at the time Bnei Yisrael constructed the Mishkan, there was a special Machatzit HaShekel tax that was collected. The silver that was received from this Machatzit HaShekel tax was used to produce the Adanim, which are the sockets that form the foundation of the Mishkan, as the wooden planks were implanted in these sockets. So the question arises, why were specifically the sockets produced through a mandatory tax, while the materials for the rest of the Mishkan were collected through voluntary donations? If we would have been asked to suggest one part of the Mishkan that needed the participation of the entire nation, we would have likely pointed to the Aron, which is the Ark, the most sacred article in the Mishkan. We would have certainly understood if Hashem had demanded that each and every Jew donate toward the construction of the Aron. Surprisingly, though, even the Aron was made through voluntary donations. And it was only the sockets that required the mandatory participation of each and every member of Bnei Israel. So why? So the answer relates to the symbolic significance of the sockets, which form the foundation of the Mishkan. Every part of the Mishkan represents a different aspect of Judaism. The sockets naturally represented the foundation of Judaism, which is emunah, faith. The prophet Habakkuk proclaimed, with Tzadik be'emunato yechia, hence where I got the title for this topic. A righteous man lives by faith. Our sages explain that Habakkuk here presents the foundation of Judaism. All the many different laws and ideals of the Jewish faith rest upon the fundamental principle of emunah, that Hashem created and continues to govern the world. There are many different levels of religious observance, necessarily so. We are each expected to serve Hashem to the best of our ability and continually strive to improve, but the reality will always remain that some will achieve more than others. It's just the nature of things. And also it depends what you came from your past life. That has an effect too. And also how strong you are and how much you're able to overcome certain things that might be obstacles in the way of you going to a higher level. And hopefully you overcome those obstacles. Be'ezrat Hashem. And thus the Mishkan, which symbolizes religious life, was constructed through voluntary donations, each person offering what they could. The one exception is the Adanim, the sockets, the foundation. When it comes to the foundation upon which Judaism is built, emunah, we must all participate without any exceptions, meaning it goes across the board. Everyone has to have it. There's no question. Nobody can say, I'm not ready yet for emunah. Again, that's not an option. The belief in Hashem and Hashem's providence is something expected of us all, from the most learned scholars down to the simplest laymen. This explains why the silver for the sockets was collected specifically through the collection of a half-shekel. The half-shekel symbolizes the fact that we only know half the story. Emunah requires us to acknowledge that as human beings, our vision and understanding are very limited. We see and understand very little of how Hashem runs the world. The half-shekel donation thus reminds us that there is always more we do not understand, and this realization is vital for faith, meaning we really don't understand anything. We're given like this much to help us get through and to help us get to some form of understanding, but really we don't understand. It's endless. Tradition teaches that at the time when the Asarat Harugei Malchut, which is the 10 great sages who were killed by the Romans, were martyred, the angels in heaven protested. Hashem replied by threatening to undo creation and return the world to its primordial state of chaos if the angels persisted in their protest. It shows you how much they have an effect, right? This has been explained by way of an analogy to a tailor who was accused of stealing the precious materials that he was given for the purpose of making special garments for the king. In order to prove his innocence, the tailor needed to unravel the royal garment to show that all the material was accounted for. Wow, that's I can't even imagine how long that took. Similarly, Hashem was telling the angels that the only way he can prove his, quote, innocence, that all his ways are just, would be to, quote, unravel the world, to take it apart and show how everything that happens falls precisely in place, meaning everything is exactly the way it's supposed to be. There's nothing that is not according to the right way. Everything he does is right and good. The way the world runs, we see only a small part of what is really happening. If we want to see everything, Hashem would have to, quote, take apart all the creation to show us that everything is exactly the way it should be. This is the foundation of our Mishkan, of Torah life, one in which we must all participate. We see only, quote, a half a shekel, only a part of the story. Once we lay this foundation of faith within our hearts and minds, we can then proceed to build our Mishkan, a rewarding and fulfilling life of Torah devotion. And hopefully in that merit we can all live and see the coming of Mashiach speedily in our days and the rebuilding of our final and everlasting Beis HaMikdash. Amen, and thanks for watching.